Okay, so in this one we're going to talk about sidechaining, and more specifically we're going to be sidechaining the lower end of the frequency spectrum, where your sub and your kick drum lives. So reason being why we're focusing on the low end is because the low end is much more temperamental. Only one thing can live there at a time is a general rule. If you listen to this, this is the kick drum. This is the 808, right? They both kind of live in the lower end of the spectrum, and if we bring up a visual, this is what it looks like. Okay, so if you look at just this is just going to be the sub bass, right? So a large majority of it lives right here in the bottom. And if we bring in the visual for the kick drum, it also lives in generally the same area. The prominent part of it lives in the same area. And if you even look at it, FabFilter, these plugins are great, but you can see like the area that's red is where both of them are clashing and colliding. Okay, so what would happen? So let's listen to them together. They kind of feel like they're clashing and they're trying to fight for the same area, right? So what would happen if you could hear it more specifically? If I just crank this up and exaggerate it, you can hear that they're both really struggling, right? So if I carve this out, that kick is coming through much more, but the issue with carving it out like this is you're taking all the power away from the sub. All right, so we know this is around 45 hertz, right? That's it even says right here, it's an F sharp. And so I'm gonna close out of this and use a multiband compressor just so it's easier to maneuver with. But okay, so I'm gonna load up a multiband compressor, and what we're gonna do instead of sidechaining the entire signal, all of the signal of the 808 every time the kick comes in, we're only just gonna duck the bottom end so that we're still retaining all that high end, all the power from the high end, right? So if I come here and I open up a multiband compressor, what we're gonna do is we're gonna sidechain this 808 to duck whenever the kick comes in. All right, so the kick is the trigger to duck the 808. And we're going to use this as an external because we're doing it on a different track. So now you can see every time that red signal that comes in, that is the kick drum, and it's making this like squat down, right? And basically, if you're using a compressor, this is what you're doing to it. Every time that kick comes in, the entire signal, the entire 808 signal ducks. And if I exaggerate it, you can see how much power you're losing, right? So if I'm just taking out, if I just want to take out the part that really matters, which is the sub end, because the more you move to the left, the more temperamental it is, right? We're just going to remove this whenever the kick drum comes in. And you see, even if I exaggerate it this much, you can still feel the power from the sub on the higher end of the frequency spectrum, because that's what's saturating it, and that's what's really bringing out those upper harmonics so that you can hear these 808s on phones and laptop speakers and all those small speakers. So that's just a quick video of my trick of doing, of one of my tricks to sidechain your 808 to your kick. Hope that helps. See you in the next one.